Hello, the recording you're about to listen to was recorded in Doylestown at the 2023 Doylestown Spiritual Banquet Conference hosted by the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown, which meets at St. Paul's Lutheran Church every Saturday night, 8 p.m. food and fellowship, 8:30 speaker. Please look for us on YouTube at the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown and our Facebook page, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown. Anyway, look forward to seeing you. Hope you enjoy these recordings. They were very powerful and lives were changed there. Please take advantage of them and share them with whoever you think could benefit from their talks. Thank you very much.
Okay, my name's Ron. I'm an alcoholic, and everybody did such an amazing job speaking this morning. You know, Pete inspired me. My 2024 New Year's resolution is to get selfie less. We could all get a little selfie less, right? Anyway, what else can I say? Oh, Brian and Eileen are over there. They have the baskets. They have to go around again. We have to film 3 more times before we break even. Nobody goes home until they're full. Grab you by your just do your best you can. If you can afford it, great. Being mindful that we like to give this away for the newcomer who can't afford this. So when you're putting a donation in for yourself, cover them too, because just lives get changed here. People's lives change direction. And I can't tell you how many countless people have come up to me over the years that with these events that we put on and go, that changed the whole trajectory of my recovery and everything that I thought about AA. And that's the effect we want to have for everybody, that they walk in and they hear a message of hope and recovery. And this group has a lot of H&I and commitments, especially on a Sunday. If you'd like to get involved in your local, we have a commitment at a treatment center. We love going there. We bought like 500 big books last year. We just donated to the group, to the people in there. And it's amazing that they're in treatment and they don't even get access to Alcoholics Anonymous big bucks. I mean, they get confused. Maybe some meetings, maybe some people come in when they feel like showing up. They got every other AA, NA, GA, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they're doing Al-Anon. And if you're an alcoholic and you're confused, you walk in the treatment center, it's never more confusing than it is in 2023. I guess it's just going to get more as we go along. But anyway, we got a great lineup. And what else did I forget to... I don't know. But anyway, let's see what Freddie's got. He's going to bring... he says he's the best speaker. Let's welcome the best speaker of the day, Freddie!
My name's Freddie, and I'm an alcoholic. Hey! Privileged to stand here, privileged to be able to do this, and it's a privilege to sit there. And if you don't believe that, stick around a while. And I always learn, and from experience, that door's a revolving door. And I come to find out that many come and few stay. Why? Because of the lack of vigilance. Always a little leery of the stage. Last time I had a chance to do this was at a convention, and I was watching, and one of the guys, one of my road dogs, Ian, was speaking, and I was sitting over here with another speaker, Barbara, and I was looking, I'm like, there's no room behind him. If he backs up, he's going to fall. I said, man, should I say something? I'm like, no, that'll disrupt the meeting. Barbara goes up. I'm looking, I'm like, oh, I hope she don't step back. She might fall. My turn in the barrel. I get up there. I do a little pitch. I step back, I fall off the stage. So much for insight, you know? How's that working? I intuitively knew. What a privilege, and I come here and I've been influenced by giants in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I don't know, I'm just maybe a little peculiar. But I'm a firm believer. I always hear people say, I don't get anybody sober. God gets them sober. But if you look, it says, we let God demonstrate through us what we could do. And if you're an agent for God and you're doing 12-step work, absolutely you're going to get me sober. If provided I'm willing. Working for God, that's what we do. We become, like Chicken Charlie used to say, a hitman for God. So let's talk a little bit about this process, and I was asked to speak, and I was talking to Peter, and he said, would you like to speak? I said no. He said, okay, no obligation. You let me know. I said, Peter, let me pray on it. And day goes by, it's the next day, and I start thinking, I get the thought, God provides the thought, what if I asked Big Matt to speak and he told me no, because I sponsor Big Matt? What if I asked Little Matt to speak and he said no? I says, how arrogant of them to say no. Pete, listen, I really apologize. I just wanted to shock when you asked me, and yes, I'll do it, and thank you so much for the invitation. I want to thank Ron and this group, Conscious Contact Group. Thank you guys. Let's have a round of applause for them for doing this. I relate so especially because my group gets to do this, and we have some ninjas in here like Peter, Jimmy, Mary Beth, Marion, and a few others. There's like professional ninja speakers, and I want to thank the other speakers. They were like ninjas too. All right, so I always like to say what I think it was like, what I think happened, and what it's like now. And the truth of the matter is, I'm always impressed with people when they come up with dates and they say things like, and in 1984, and I'm like, I don't even remember 1984. Yeah, and then in 88, and I'm like, it's just one blur, one complete blur. But let me give you my resume. So I got 12 steps into Alcoholics Anonymous. My first sober date was March 3rd, 1983. I come to Alcoholics Anonymous, and only because no detox, no rehab. I was influenced. Guys that I was running with, I watched them get sober. We were hanging out on the candy store in Brooklyn, and I watched them in the candy store, and they looked like they were in cahoots, thinking of something. And I'm like, what are you doing in there? And they waved me off. I'm like, what are you talking about? Waved me off again. I go in there, I'm like, what's going on? They're like, we can't talk to you. We joined the program, and you're still drinking, and we can't be around you. I'm like, what? But an arrow in my heart was shot because I always wanted to stop drinking. It says in our literature, so many want to stop but cannot. And I said, can you take me to a meeting? I don't know. They had 2 days sober. 2 days sober. And their guru had 90 days, Paulie. So let's fast forward. They take me to my first meeting. I think I can maneuver in the streets. I'm really good hanging out in the bar atmosphere. They take me to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I sit down, and the one guy on my right, he gets up, goes out to smoke a cigarette. The other one on my left gets up and goes to the bathroom. They leave me alone with you guys, and I am terrified. What do? My best thinking. I get up and I follow him into the bathroom. He's like, what are you doing in here? I said, you can't leave me with those people. Fast forward. Joined the group, doing every job, clean up, set up, chairperson, secretary, treasurer, blah, blah. Let's the list go on, right? And, that was like really crazy then. I would find a bottle in the bathroom while I was cleaning up. And behind the toilet, I saw a bottle. I go, do they know we could lose this building if they find out? And the guy with 90 days said, where do you want them to go? They're drinkers. This is the only place for them. And how arrogant of me. Like, once I got sober, everybody on the planet has to get sober. Here we go. I'm sober 10 years, wearing that time like stripes in the army. And hiding behind my time. And I make a decision. I'm working. God graced me, only by the grace of God. What a good job. I was working as a union carpenter. I was doing the partitions in office buildings, like 5,000 offices in one building. I'd be on a job for 3 months, rugs on the floor, walls painted, telephones there, just no furniture, and we would come in and do the furniture. And I was like Charlie Potatoes. I'm making good money, and I'm going to be a civilian. This is a bridge back to life. I didn't know that there was a toll when you cross that bridge. Sure enough, I meet this woman from Bloomingdale's. She's a facial model, And of course, Charlie Potatoes, I'm going to show her the ropes. And I take her to a bar, restaurant that had a piano player in there, and I'm like, eh? She goes to the bathroom. When she goes to the bathroom, I'll show you how cunning, baffling, and sneaky I could be. She goes to the bathroom. I duped the bartender $20. I said, whatever she drinks, make it a double. And I was in a meeting that night at 6 o'clock, talking about total abstinence. Sure enough, she comes back out. She was rushing. She's like, Freddie, you no drink? I'm like, nah, my stomach's a little upset. God forbid I would confess that I'm an alcoholic. That I got to AA, the thing that saved my life. It's funny, right? When I drank, I didn't care about anybody. My neighbors, they would watch me throw up, raise hell outside my front door. I come into AA and I'm like, don't let anybody see me in a church. There comes my neighbors, hide me. 15 minutes later, I order a double with a beer backup. The bartender gives it to me. 20 minutes after that, I'm having a fight with him over the price of the cigarettes and the cigarette machine. Drinking one-hand cigarette. I was abstinent from smoking for 8 years as a result of Alcoholics Anonymous, practicing these principles, praying. And somewhere along the line, that became more important than anything else I was doing. And 2 weeks later, I'm in this woman's apartment, and she's like, Freddie, what happened to you? I'm like, what happened to me? What happened to you? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And you know how we got to go. The defenses come up. Let me protect my illness. What happened to me? And sure enough, I stayed drunk for 8 years after that. And I couldn't get back. I would come to the meetings. My leg would shake. And like I said, I came in 83. And my sponsor, Peter, came in 88. And I'll just give you a little quick story. And then we'll talk about 8 and 9. So Peter comes in, and I get to know him, and I'm sober now at the time, 5 years. I'm Charlie Potatoes once again. And I got my running dog, Tommy Orifisi, and we're sober, going to meetings and doing all the wrong things, but not drinking. And sure enough, I see Peter. I said, Peter, don't make any plans tonight. We're going to the feast, Most Precious Blood. I said, there's going to be a lot of chippies there. You're going to love it, you know? He's got his big book under his arm. He's like, I can't go. I'm like, what? You can't go? He said, no, I can't go. I got to do an assignment. Tony gave me an assignment. And Tommy, with his infinite wisdom, he says, you want me to bat your sponsor out? And we love Peter. And I was like Peter's gym sponsor, you know? Jack LaLanne, right after the meeting, Peter. And then we get hero sandwiches. All right, so that was then. So my day of grace, May 16, 2001, I'll tell you what happened to me. I was so polluted by booze that weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, polluted. Couldn't get off the couch. I soiled myself. I couldn't do it. At the time, I was beating my landlord for the rent. I put a piece of wood and I screwed it in with a screw gun, and I was going in and out of my apartment by rent. I was drinking by candlelight. Electricity was shut off. And by the way, I got laid off. I feel better. It's like a Tuesday. Jimmy's talking about the day before. It's a Tuesday, and I call up my mom and I tell her, Ma, you know, I'm a great salesman. Ma, listen, I got a good job interview, and I need to borrow your car. And she's like, I don't know. I said, Ma, it's a one-time and an opportunity. I get the car from her. I'm driving behind the wheel of a car. I'm on my way to go get booze, and I have a seizure from lack of booze. 3 days of not drinking, just detoxing. What happened, I'm going to tell you how it feels. So I'm sitting behind the wheel of a car. I'm on my way to the liquor store, and all of a sudden I felt like a pull in my stomach. It felt like somebody was stretching my stomach. And then it moved up into my face, and I felt like, you ever see a Halloween mask, the rubber mask, you could pull it? That's what I felt on my face. Next thing I know, I wake up behind the wheel of the car, cops come in and he say, hey, are you all right? He goes, do you know where you are? I looked up, I saw a white garage. My mom had a white garage. I'm like, I'm at my mom's house. He goes, no, you just crashed into a fire department, the back of a fire department, crashed right through it, knocked down a street light. It landed on the roof of the car. It crushed the hood of the car, mangled the car. And I'm just sitting there, not injured at all, just a little scratch on my forehead. And the cop says, "Do you know who the President of the United States is?" I didn't have a clue. I don't think if I was not drinking, I would even care about that. I had no clue who the president was. Sure enough, they take me to the hospital. Neurosurgeons come in. They're looking over me. One of the neurosurgeons says, "Hey, do you drink?" I do like the good alcoholic line through my gums. A couple of beers once in a while. I was drinking a fifth of rum a day. A fifth of rum. And I know that exactly because I would drink and put the bottle on the counter over there. And when there was this much left, I contemplated going back to the liquor store to get more. But I was so hungry. I said, no, and so passed out that I would force myself just to eat and leave that bottle there. And sometimes I did go get the bottle, but I was too afraid to get arrested for drunk driving. Lo and behold, first angel comes to my life. The doctor, I don't know this guy from Adam. I just moved from Brooklyn. I have no idea who he is. He's like, "Listen, you're in the state of New Jersey." He said, "It's not like Brooklyn where you could just, take public transportation. You need a car here. So listen what we're going to do. When those neurosurgeons see you tomorrow, you tell them you fell asleep. Bingo. I'll do anything you say." Next day comes, neurosurgeon, they don't know. They can't figure out why I had a seizure. They're doing all sorts of tests. They release me. My brother-in-law comes. He picks me up. I get in the car with him. He's like, "You're done. You can't go to mom's. You can't go to your sister's. And if you do, I'm calling the cops. Park bench for you." Talking, and I'm feeling guilt, remorse, and shame. I'm feeling terrible. And he goes, "I got one choice for you. I work with a guy that helps people like you." As banged and black and blue that I was, I got insulted like people like me. Like the ego's incredible for the alcoholic. I can't pay any bills. I can't even, I'm unemployed and unemployable. I'm falling prey to misery and depression, and I get insulted, people like me. He said, "You go to mom's house and somebody's going to call at 5 o'clock, and if you don't answer, park bench, we're having the cops come here and get rid of you." Sure enough, I'm there, I'm waiting. I know this is the last stop. I already have somebody mentioned it, a head full of AA and a belly full of liquor. I mean, I was so lonely, the loneliness, you cannot believe it. Just me and the bottle, and I would put the TV when I had electric for company, And the craziest thing, I drink by myself, then I get up and I look out the window, see if anybody's coming. Who's going to come visit me? I heard a noise, baby. Phone call rings, this guy, Jeff D'Angelo, he's like, "This Freddie Morosco?" "Yeah." He said, "I don't know if you remember me." He said, "Did you used to date a girl named Janet Limperopoulos?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "This Jeff D'Angelo," and I'm like a little fogged. I don't even know what year it was. And, yeah. He said, "All right, I'm going to pick you up." He brings me to my first meeting. It's a breakdown meeting. And my mom drove me. And I get there, I go in, and I'm not feeling it. I'm sitting in the meeting, and I'm hearing the same old stuff, some of the wild stuff that we hear, "If you don't take the first drink, you can't get drunk." I'm like, Captain Obvious, I leave that meeting, I go home. I go to another meeting, and I don't know if my dates are correct, and it don't matter anyway, so I'm drinking the coffee, and I know I still got the DTs because I can't even hold the cup of coffee, and somebody bunks into me, and I'm like, "Oh, excuse me, it's Peter." He's like, "Freddie Morosco." I said, "Peter Marinelli, what are you doing?" He goes, "Don't you move." Sure enough, he goes, "I was the speaker here, their speaker canceled, and I'm the guest speaker, but don't you dare move." I never went to that meeting in the past, and he never was at that meeting. They canceled the environment, and God connected the dots. And I knew in my heart of hearts, I couldn't do what I was doing. Just show up, just not drink, practicing perfect abstinence. I knew I couldn't do it because I was sober 10 years, but I really, really wasn't getting any traction. I wanted to drink, and I did everything else but drink. And sure enough, he's been sponsoring. I knew I have a different view and a different attitude and outlook on the work. And I had to forget everything that I thought I knew. And even currently today, I try not to think I know anything. I love a newcomer when he comes in all black and blue. I'm the first guy to go beeline it to him, and I could recognize his pain. I hear people, oh, I have to keep it green. Never in my life can I keep it green. I can't bring with sufficient force into my memory the pain and suffering of a week or a month ago. So I need the new guys in AA, and thank God I got a big mouth. People hear me, and sometimes I attract. The crazier they are, the more they come to me. I go, that guy could help me. So, and that's how I stay sober, by practicing these principles in all my affair. And I had an experience with these steps. And the first step, admitted that I'm powerless, meaning I don't have the power to say no to booze. Booze calls me and I'm drinking. I could pretend and resist just for so long. Sooner or later, it's going to win. The first step actually says I'm going to drink again. Why? Lack of power is my dilemma. And I discussed that with Peter, and I draw a conclusion. After you discuss it, you draw a conclusion. Are you convinced you're alcoholic? Yes, I am. Am I convinced any life run on self-will could be a success? Yes, I'm convinced. I go to step 2. Now, this is interesting. People have a problem with the power greater than myself. When I came to AA, I was feeding off you. You guys were a power of example. I was getting juice. I was going home, and I was feeling good. 7 days, 10 days, 15 days. Calling Peter, how was that meeting, you know? And then sometimes I tried lying. I would tell Peter, oh, yeah, I'm not going to go to the meeting tonight. I went to the one in the day, you know? He goes, oh, yeah, who led, a man or a woman? Busted. I said, did I say today? I meant yesterday. You know, did I say... So I'm feeding off your power, so I don't have to have an understanding of a power greater than myself. I just need a mustard seed of willing. In step 3, I make the decision. Can you surrender your life over to the care of God? Yes, because the way I'm living right now is not working. And I make that decision. I said the 3rd step prayer with him. And I don't know what happened. I didn't hear no bells and whistles, but I knew I was finally doing something in AA. I never did that the first 10 years. I didn't even know. He said, I want you to write the 3rd step prayer and I want you to memorize it. Step 4, made a self-investigation, self-examination of me. What are the things that are blocking me from the sunlight of the Spirit? And I did that with a fervor. I started getting traction. I would pray before I write. Peter says, make sure you pray, because what's going to happen in the middle of your prayer, you're going to say, I'm a little hungry. Maybe I'll make a sandwich first. Then you'll say, oh, maybe the Yankees are on. You're going to do that. So make sure you pray first. I do that, and I got the whole list in step 4. And then I sat with him and admitted the 5 best words, the exact nature of my wrongs. And we sat face to face. And I remember, I did some really ugly stuff. And there was one thing I was going to sneak under the radar. And I wasn't going to tell him I was implicated in something, and he wasn't going to know about it. And we sat down, and we're just about done. And he's like, are you sure? Are you thorough? Is there anything that you're trying to sneak under the radar? I said, no. So I see he's starting to get up, so I make like I'm getting, like, to tell the truth. I don't know if anybody remembers that show with the real Fred Mariah, and the guy halfway gets up and somebody else. I make like I get up, and then I go, Peter, I got to tell you this. And then we talked for another half hour, and did that. And he gave me the list of my defects of character. So here we are, 6 and 7, and I see greed, lust, gluttony, this. And I'm like, who is this guy? I'm like, wow, he heard all that? I better get busy. So I bring it to the altar, and I get ready practicing the opposite. I'm attending meetings, and now it's the amends process. And I'm going to give you a real quick amends that I did. First, let's talk about what it says. It says, faith without works is dead. So I could pray like the Dalai Lama. If I'm not taking action, you could forget about it. How do I know? Because when I was in that spree for 8 years, I was going to church and lighting candles for myself. Never got no results. No results. Stay there, I pray, light a candle, thank you, Father. I go out and I buy a bottle. It says we have a list of all persons we are harmed, willing to make them out. We made this when we took our inventory. We subjected ourselves to a drastic self-appraisal. Now, the truth of the matter is, I can't grade my own paper. So I need somebody else to really watch me and be accountable to. because ego will always show up. And I'll tell you something about ego. Ego never accepts the truth. Never will. It says, now we go out to our fellows and repair the damage in which we attempt to sweep away the debris which has accumulated our effort to live on self-will. So I was living with this woman at the time. And, when you're drinking, I mean, what kind of relation can you really have? You think you're in a healthy relationship. It's toxic as hell. So I got to make this amends, and let's just say her name was Donna, and I said, Peter, I'm going to go make this amends to Donna. And he said, all right, are you aware of, what you think, the mistakes you made and your wrongs? Yes, let me hear him. I read him to him. Sure enough, I said, and her daughter, her name was Kelsey, the daughter, he goes, I was going to go there and make an amends to him, mother and daughter. And he said, I want you to write a letter. I didn't say that. Peter said, why don't you write a letter in case Kelsey Ann's not there? And I'm like, still egoed up. Like, she knows I'm coming. She'll be there. Sure enough, she got out of Dodge. Knew I was coming. So I went and I made the face-to-face amends. But before I went, Peter calls me and he says, listen, let's keep it in the purity of AA. I want you to bring somebody from AA with you. You see, he read my plans, and my plans were to make the amends to her and then take her out for dinner. Let me swoon her, like, you see how good I'm doing? And sure enough, take somebody with you, and it was a 15-minute amends, and in and out, and that was done. I'm crystal clear on my amends. Since that time, I made 24 amends. Living amends, graveside amends, and 4 to institutions. And I'll tell you what, my life has changed dramatically, and currently I've been taught, with these amends, the amends that I'm not aware of, continue to do that in my prayer. And ask God, are there any amends that I might have committed but I'm not aware of, because I could be sleepwalking in AA. I could fall asleep behind the wheel of the car and not even know it. And I need to pray on that, and I still do currently today. But let me tell you about what happened to me as a result. As a result of the amends I made, we don't have much time, the amends I made to the women. You see, I always used women to make myself feel better. I really didn't care about their feelings. I thought I did. I don't even know what love was. I mean, it was in an addiction, you know what I mean? And now I'm not drinking, so I'll get addicted to you. And toxic stuff. And I didn't know any of this. I needed to be taught that. And I look at all the women that I made amends. I was sincere about it, and I prayed, and I asked God for the willingness. Help me change. I made the amends to these women now currently today. As a result of doing that, I could be intimate with women without being sexual. I could be friends with women without the motive, underneath the motive. Oh, I'll be friends with you with another motive. So maybe up the road. And that's a gift from God. And I look at women now as children of God. I'll tell you one of my financial amends. So I'll tell you what happened. So when I was sober, I was working. I told you it was a great job. Union carpenter, clean like a whistle. And getting big paychecks. And on my own, I decided not to pay taxes. April 15th would come. I'm like, I'm not filing taxes. So ignorant, I didn't know that there might be a return for me. I'm just not paying you because I don't want to pay you. Dumb. So I don't pay 1 year, I don't pay 2, I don't pay 3, and I'm hush. I even forgot about it when we did an inventory, and I never paid attention to it. And we go through the steps again, and I tell Peter, I'm like, I owe the IRS like thousands, He's like, you got to make that amends. I said, I know, but I'm scared to death. They might send me to prison. He's like, well, that's okay. If you go to prison, you got a lot of friends in your network. They'll put money in your commissary, and they'll come visit you. I didn't want to hear that. He's like, tomorrow. And Peter was the guy that would tell me, I'm going to the Shoreline Club, and I'd be like, yeah. I went to the Shoreline day meetings because I was working nights, day meetings, and I would say, Peter, I can't go to the Shine Club because I probably won't find parking. He said, God will provide the parking. Every time I went, there was a spot near the farm, or on the side of the corner over there. God will provide if the intent is pure. So anyway, I owe a lot of money, and I got to call up first. You got to go through a sheriff first and call them. I called the lawyer, and he gave me a number to a sheriff, and he said, see if you could even they will accept restitution. I'm like, that's all I got to hear. Lo and behold, I get in touch with the payroll department, and I'm working, and it took me 12 years to pay off this debt, and every week the IRS would take money out of my check. And then, it's kind of funny, when that amends cleared up, they sent me a check. And I'm like, Peter, I can't believe the IRS sent me a check. He said, don't cash that check. Make a photostat copy of it. Maybe they made a mistake, and you'll owe it again. And I got what they call, I don't know, some sort of like rebate you get for taxes. Because I was never filing taxes. I didn't even know what that was. And that was another amends. And now currently today, for the institutions, I owe an American Express card. I didn't know American Express at that time that you buy on it, you got a week to pay. So I'm like buying rings for $5,000. And you got to pay that back. At the time, I had a finance company, After finance company, I had to pay them back. And of course, hospitals. When I was drinking, I would always get banged up going to the hospital. Bill me, you know what I mean? The bill would come, rip it up, throw it in the garbage, and completed all those financial amends. And as a result of that, I'm currently in the black. I don't want to say it because I don't want to put nothing negative into the universe. As a result of making this amends, I have like stellar credit now. How could that be? From no credit to stellar credit as a result of the power of God working through our lives. And I come to find out that I'm responsible for the effort, not the outcome. So I join AA, and I start practicing these principles. Whether I understand them or not, it's not really important because God will do the magic internally. You know, and I love like Peter says, we all become big book lawyers now, you know. And amends is trying to right the wrong. There's so much stuff in here, I mean, you can't. Here, it says, reminding ourselves that we have decided to go to any lengths to find the spiritual air. We ask that we be given the strength, and I do that every day. Give me the courage, strength, and direction to do the right thing no matter what the personal consequences may be. And I identify we may lose our position or reputation or face jail. And I didn't know any of this. I needed to be taught that, and over the years, I try and stay almost teachable. Currently still teachable. I mean, I got good experiences with all the steps here, all of them I practice. And I'm just going to tell you something because we're running close. Let's talk about this, and I heard this, and it stuck with me forever. It says, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development. What phase of development is that? 8, 9, that's the phase, you know. We will be amazed before we're halfway through the amends process. We're going to know new freedom and a new happiness. This is when I get rocketed into the 4th dimension of existence, or I enter the world of the spirit. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. The feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. I mean, just listen to these. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. And there's over 200 promises in here, but these 9-step promises really, when you start making the amends, is what's coming to you, not from you. We will lose interest. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook on life will change. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. We will totally know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. Here's the key. We will study. My spiritual experience is actually when I start realizing that God's doing for me that I could never, ever do for myself, even currently today. I like what Bill says in the 7th step in the 12 and 12. Of myself I am nothing. My Father does it the works. But let's read this again. Every time I drank a bottle of booze, I had a new freedom and a new happiness. Every time I drank a bottle of booze, I didn't regret the past or wish to shut the door on it. Every time I drank a bottle of booze, I will know the word serenity and I will know peace. Every time I drank a bottle of booze, it didn't matter how far down the scale I went. Every time I drank a bottle of booze, that feeling of uselessness and self-pity disappeared. Every time I drank a bottle of booze, I lost interest in selfish things and gained interest in my fellows. And I would start drinking and be the social butterfly until, I like to say, and the man took a drink, the drink takes a drink, and then the drink takes the man. Every time I drank a bottle of booze, self-seeking slipped away. Every time I drank a bottle of booze, fear of people and economic insecurity left me. So it's kind of unbelievable what happens here. They call booze spirits, and they call this spiritual experience. How my life has changed. All the things that I searched for in that bottle of booze comes true in Alcoholics Anonymous as a result of these. It gives me the same feeling. I heard Kelly. Where's Kelly? Kelly says she's not a drug dealer anymore. She's a hope dealer. I'm like, is that perfect? That's what we do here. We sell hope. Alcoholics Anonymous is unbelievable. It saved my life. There's so much that goes on in my life. It's hard to talk about a particular step. We talk about, they all intertwine. I can't talk about one step without the other, you know. And Marion said, Jimmy stomped on the third step. Impossible. You can't talk about one step without the other. What I do say, I wasn't 12 stepped by Peter. I was 12 stomped by Peter. Thanks. That's all I got. Thanks for letting me share.
My name is Nick. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you for an awesome talk. And we're going to take a 10-minute break. Thanks.
You just stop button.